right now are feeling very uncertain about the state of the economy, but there are ways to stay ahead on your finances. Here to talk more about this is Haley Taliski from Cook Capital. Welcome, Haley.
Hi, Mayor.
Hi, nice to meet you. So great to have you here. So
Thanks.
let's get started. Um, so you recently wrote an article for Retirement Daily, but before we get into that, many people are talking about a recession. Do you know if we're close to one or if we're in one? Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, there's a lot of confusion, and the news is saying day after day, are we in a recession? Are we not? And that is because different organizations have different criteria for actually defining a recession. So some are saying we officially are in a recession because we've experienced a shrinking economy over the last 2 quarters. We've also seen surging inflation. I'm sure you all have felt the cost of everything really skyrocketing over the last year. And the Fed has been raising interest rates to combat that high inflation, which has caused a lot of volatility in the stock market. Now, we have others saying we're not officially in a recession yet because our job market is still really strong, and there's a lot of consumer and business spending still going on in the economy. So it's hard to say, are we officially in a recession? Or are we not? That doesn't necessarily matter. A recession is a part of the economic cycle, but what's really important is how you actually react to these time periods.
hmm So in your article for Retirement Daily, you mentioned four different steps that people can take to protect them from this recession. And the first one that you mentioned is increasing emergency funds and paying off debt. So can you talk more about that?
Absolutely. So, Financial Planning 101 says you should have 3 to 6 months of living expenses saved in a high yield savings account for your emergency fund. Now, we've experienced a lot of volatility over the last year, a lot of uncertainty. So, you may want to increase that emergency fund to 1 to 2 years of living expenses in your high yield savings account if that applies to you, especially if you have variable income, if you've got children, if you have some big future expenses coming up. It may be smarter to save that money in cash instead of investing it. And also, if you have any outstanding debt that is variable interest rate debt, that rate is going to go up as the Fed continues to raise interest rates. So thinking especially credit cards, if you have any credit card debt, you really want to work to pay that down as soon as possible because you're going to end up spending more money in interest every single month.
hmm hmm So another step you mentioned is reviewing your budget. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, like I said, I feel like the cost of essentially everything has gone up over the last year. So, most likely your budget does not reflect what it looked like a year or so ago. So, you want to take the time to review your budget, review your transactions over the last few months, highlight anything that you bought that you didn't use or an experience that you didn't enjoy, and try to cut those things out of your budget because they don't really align with your values. And when it comes to your budget, anything you can do to increase your income and decrease your expenses is only going to help you financially along the way.
hmm So what about your third tip, which is updating your resume?
So, whether you're thinking you might change jobs or you might lose your job in the near future, it's really good to update your resume every couple of years. You want to make sure that your resume is always reflecting your most recent accomplishments that you've made. So, whether you've taken on a leadership role, you've worked on an exciting project, you've learned some new skills, make sure that your resume really reflects those things and shows your best version of yourself. It's also a really great time to build your network that you have. So, whether that's online, like LinkedIn, or in person networking events, building your network is only going to help you in your career.
hmm And the last thing that you mentioned is blocking out all the noise and staying invested. So can you talk more about that?
Right. Yeah. I think people get so caught up in the day-to-day news. And you want to remember the news's job is to sell advertising dollars. Their job is to keep you engaged, to keep you watching. So they're going to try to instill fear in you so that you keep watching it. So anything that you can do to tune out that noise and really focus on what you can control. So we can't control what happens in the economy. We can't control what happens in the stock market, but we can control how much we're saving and we're putting in our investment accounts. We can control if we actually stay invested during these market downturns. Hint, you should be. And we can control our budget and our spending that we're doing. So I think really focusing on the things that you can control allows you to get back to enjoying your life and just tuning out all of that unnecessary noise that's out there.
Mhm. All right, Haley, is there anything else that you would like to add or to go over once more?
Yeah, I think it's just important to acknowledge that as young professionals, this is really the first recessionary period that we faced, and that can be scary. I mean, we saw the COVID-19 recession, but that was really short, only 2 months. So there's a lot of uncertainty around this, but really, again, just focusing on what you can control. It's a normal part of the economic cycle. We will get through this, and just focusing on enjoying your life and things that you can control will really make the difference when it comes to your happiness and your health.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you. Thank you for your time and for your wonderful insight.
Thank you for having me.